Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
All right, here we go. So this is the first podcast episode of 2020. If you're listening and on the day it's coming out or close to it, Happy New Year. If it's later, then Happy New Year. So New Year's are a very special time. I think it can be very hallmarky, right? Like Valentine's Day, like it's got to be a certain way. You got to make the resolutions. You must set goals. There becomes this kind of intense pressure. Maybe some of you had a little bit of extra beverages last night. You're waking up not feeling too good today. Maybe you're scared about what's happening in the new year. Maybe you're just, oh my God, I'm so glad 2019 is done. And think that somehow, because it's simply a next day that like a switch has flipped. And in a way it has. You know, every day though, really, sister, is a fresh start. But here's what I'm going to encourage you to bring into this new year, is to open your heart. Is to open your heart in 2020. So let's talk about what that means. Okay, first of all, before we get into that, I need to tell you something. This is so exciting. I'm so excited about this. I haven't been this excited about something in business for quite some time. I'm excited to create and feel really called and pulled to do certain things and listen to what you're sharing with me and create things based on you saying, I need help with these things. But this is something that came to me in a really interesting way, and I'll share the story at some point. But today is the official launch day, the official invitation for you to join the More Club. So what the heck is the More Club? Well, the More Club is kind of like, think of it like a bridge that takes you from the podcast to the Women Wanting More movement. Okay, so that you have the support, the tools, the resources, the community to create what I talk about, a life of more, right at the end of every single podcast, which is the life that you truly desire. And so what the More Club really allows me to do is it allows me to continue to put out like all this great like content in the podcast and episodes which are coming out twice a week here in 2020. But it also allows me in the More Club to create more tools and more resources and more support for you so that you can, again, create the life that you truly desire, that life of more, and to not do it alone. And so what does exactly it look like? Well, in the More Club, there is all sorts of bonus podcast episodes, depending on the tier that you actually choose. But there's bonus podcast episodes that are only there, nowhere else. There are mindset skill training videos that will be coming out on a monthly basis. There will be powerful interviews with female leaders. There is going to be fan shout outs, resources and reading lists, VIP early access to events. What else is inside of the More Club? Oh my gosh, just amazingness. Now, when you get there, okay, to the More Club and you check it out and everything, you're gonna be like, oh my God, it's only this? Like this is it? Okay, and I set this up because it is easy, number one, and it's incredibly affordable. This is a no-brainer, sister. There's no reason for you to not be in the More Club. So if you're here and you're a fan of the podcast and you love this, but yet you've often, some of you that have reached out to me and said, I'd love to come to a retreat, Karen, but like, I just don't have the funds, or I have 5 children, or, there's some other thing in life that you can't do that type of experience, or maybe even an online course is tough for you. Well, the More Club is exactly for you. So here's what you need to do. Go to patreon.com/Women Wanting More. Okay, that's a bit of a mouthful. Patreon, patreon.com/Women Wanting More. Okay, everything is on there for you to check it out. You're going to see a video of me explaining a little bit more, and you can choose what you'd like to do and be in the More Club. And I'm super pumped to have you there. And once we reach 222 women, then I'm going to do actually a really special gift for all of you. And I would be so honored and touched and would love for you to really support this vision of the Women Wanting More movement and be one of the first 222 women. Because here's my vision for it, okay? And we'll get back to the podcast episode. My vision is to create 1,000 women strong within that group, whose real sole purpose within this group and what I'm doing with Women Wanting More is for you to be able to own your power and your worthiness. That's it. To own your power and your worthiness. And by the way, that's a huge thing. That's significant, because when you now own your power and your worthiness of who you are as a woman and all the roles and hats that you play in your life, well, guess what? There becomes this incredible ripple effect of you bringing more love out into your friends, your family, your marriage, your children, like your work. It becomes a ripple effect. Do you get it? It's like one at a time, helping each of you to own your power and worthiness that creates more love in this world. And I would love for you to be a part of that vision, sister. So go to patreon.com/women wanting more. Okay. patreon.com/women wanting more all together. Okay. Back to the episode here. So opening your heart, what does that look like? Well, for some of you might have had experiences in life. I've certainly been one where you've been hurt. I mean, let's put it this way. Who hasn't been hurt in life, right? By someone, by some experience, by things that happened when we were growing up as kids. Honestly, most of us are carrying wounds from children at some point. Whatever that looks like for you, right? I've yet to meet, 50 years on the planet, I've yet to meet a human being that didn't have some patterns and subconscious programming that they had to work and heal through. And honestly, from what I really see and what I know to be true and what's true for me and what's true when I work with my clients, is that this really is our purpose in life. We come into this world perfect exactly as we are. And from what the research is telling us, from the ages of like birth to 7, we're just little sponges. We're soaking all that stuff in, and that becomes part of our subconscious. And so all of our thoughts and our behaviors and our actions stem from that. And so, that subconscious programming, most certainly, because our parents didn't know and they were doing their absolute best, just like we are, right? We're messing it up with our kids at times too. This isn't about pointing blame or mommy did this or daddy did this or, like it can be that, but just it doesn't have to be. It's understanding that they did their best, yet they were kind of spinning their wounds into you because they didn't know. They didn't know that they're just running the subconscious program. And so then we move throughout life and create this identity of who that we think that we actually are until something happens in life where that is just not working anymore. So you either hit some kind of a crisis in life, relationship crisis, health crisis, financial crisis, loss, grief, something. Or you can just wake up one day and go, I don't know what's happened, but it's like someone's just like flipped my world upside down. It's going to happen with me almost 2 years ago. Flipped my world upside down. I'm just like, I don't really know who I am anymore. And it is the beginning of you waking up. And I don't mean for that to sound very, oh God, it sounds so pretentious, right? But really, it's a spiritual awakening. It is what some people will call a midlife crisis, which can be at any age, by the way. It doesn't have to be midlife. It just so happens for a lot of us kind of propels us at that time. And it's okay, and it's part of the process, and it's part of the journey, and it sucks, and it's painful. But it's up to us to discover our power again, right? To really own our worthiness, to love ourselves. Like warts and all, like accept, love, allow, all the ways that we're to show up as women, which is why we're talking about this conversation of opening your heart. Because yes, when you've had these things happen to you in your life, it becomes a thing of like, oh, no, you didn't. Okay, you know what? Let me just put this armor around my heart. And then something else happens. You go, oh, let's put a second suit of armor around now. Let's put it thick, and it becomes these layers, right? Like on an onion, like it's just layers and layers and layers. And it is your ego doing its job that feels like you're in danger and wanting to protect you. And that's okay. However, it does not work after a certain point for us, right? It's like it was a coping mechanism. It was a strategy that ego chose to help you in a short little period of time, or to take a situation that it saw as something significant, which was really just a little speck in life. But yet it's like it created this indentation within your soul. And you decide you're going to close off your heart in some way. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is that this beginning of opening your heart, that this can be the year that you begin to really heal this stuff. And yes, it will not be easy at times. You're going to have high highs and low lows, and that's okay, and it's part of it. But you beginning to open up to who you are, loving who you are, accepting who you are, surrendering to the moments and the places that you find yourself in life, allowing your life to unfold instead of forcing it to fit into a box which no longer works. Crushing it, grinding, getting shit done, do the fucking work, all that stuff. And like, I get it. I used to be there. Listen back to the beginning parts of the podcast. The first 2 years was this kind of message. And that was okay. That was where I was then. It's what is. But what I now know to be true is that there is this longing inside of us, whether we recognize it or not, to come home to who we are. And in order for us to see who we are, we got to start removing all the bits and pieces of armor. And it's scary, right? And it's going to feel exposed. And it's going to feel like, oh my God, what if I get rejected? Oh my God, what if people don't understand me? Oh my God, will people see me? Will I be understood? And like, I know this whole game, if you will, very intimately, because I went through that for years and years, decades really. People don't understand me. Nobody gets me. I'm all alone. It is the song of separation that ego will sing very strongly, very loudly. You'll know all the words to those songs, right? Nobody gets me. I'm just supposed to be by myself. No, that's not true. That's ego or fear speaking. That's not love. That's not truly what this is. We are not meant to be disconnected from everybody in life. We are all connected, regardless of whatever your spiritual beliefs may or may not be. This is the absolute truth. We are connected to everything in the universe. There's no separation. It's time for us to come home to who we truly are, and it begins with us opening our heart. And so how do you do this? Well, it can be in little ways, right? I mean, it can be in, obviously what I do in business, Women Wanting More, is a lot of opening my heart and sharing these experiences and sharing the lessons with the intention of, I want you to own your power, to own your worthiness, to really own you loving yourself. And by often sharing those stories, which we all connect with each other, right, through story, through sharing, that it often gives you permission to go, oh, well, she's done it. Maybe I can do this too, right? Or, wow, this has inspired me. Or, ooh, this has kind of triggered me. Let me explore this. Or, I don't really like Karen anymore. That's happened before too, and that's okay. I don't, that stuff used to bother me. Like, oh God, why can't, they're just triggered. It's not, no, sometimes I might have come across in a way that wasn't as palpable. I totally accept that. Wasn't as understanding, was judgmental. Yeah, it's where I was at the time. I was doing my best, just like you're doing your best, just like everybody's doing their best. But begin to open your heart. So that can be, let's go back to the how. That can be you sharing with a friend that you feel safe with, right? Here's the other thing. Not everybody deserves, that sounds judgmental. Not everybody is ready. Maybe let's put it that way. And you know what? Fuck it. Not everybody deserves to be able to see your heart, your full heart. Not everybody's ready for that, right? It just is. It doesn't make them a bad person, but maybe they just can't handle it. Like, have you ever, for example, okay, let me give you, this is an example that's coming to me in my mind right now. When I was in practice as a chiropractor and, worked with a lot of families, a lot of women that were, having babies or, pregnant, obviously, or usually that goes hand in hand. Not necessarily, because I became a mommy through adoption. However, most kind of do it through biological means. But, as you know, I'm sure, and maybe even experienced, miscarriage is not uncommon. It happens actually quite frequently. And so there would be times, and it would be more so, the most devastating times were, you know what, I shouldn't really label it that way because I've never gone through it, but it would often be my experience, a lot of patients, but this is their first time getting pregnant, right? And so they're super excited and they're telling everybody and they're not doing the whole wait for 12 weeks and whatever, the first try, right? But, and then they miscarry. Okay. And so miscarriage is something that it's very difficult for people to understand if they haven't gone through it. I haven't gone through it, so I can't fully understand it, but I do know it's a life and it's loss. And so what would happen is that, inevitably they had to share with some people because they knew they were pregnant and then they weren't. So they had to kind of, whether it was a work thing or family and friends and, of course, people are going to know, like, where's the baby? Oh, well, I lost the baby. And so some people did not respond all that well. There would be sometimes this whitewashing of like, well, it just wasn't meant to be. Or, it's not fully a life yet until it reaches a certain number of weeks. Or, it's probably for the best. Like that kind of languaging, which was really hurtful and harmful for these women. And those people that were saying that, again, like they're just doing their best. They don't know how to deal with that grief and that loss. We often was like, we don't want to feel that stuff. And so it's like, everything happens for a reason and it's going to be okay. And you're going to be okay. And you'll get pregnant again. And It's like, no, the woman has lost a child. Like it is grief. It is loss. Like, listen, I fully understand with losing my dad about almost 4 months ago. Like we're really shitty with grief and loss, aren't we? Like we don't know what to do with it. And you don't know until you're in that situation where you are grieving that it's really opened your eyes to like, wow, people are really shitty with this. We don't know. Death is this very uncomfortable, painful. We don't want to feel it. That's not going to happen to me, kind of stories that we tell ourselves. And so when these women would inevitably open their heart and say, well, I lost the baby. And sometimes the responses, again, were hurtful, but not meaning to be, right? Were not honoring of her, but didn't mean to be, were judgmental maybe even of her, and didn't mean to be. And so I want to give you that example because I want you to know that when you open your heart to someone, it has to be someone that you feel safe with. And by the way, you can feel safe and go, oh, this is my best friend. This is my husband or boyfriend or partner. This is my mom or something, someone I trust. And it's still scary, by the way. It's vulnerability. Right? This is really what we're talking about is vulnerability. It's the scariest thing. And it's also the most courageous thing for you to do, to share and open your heart. But it has to be with someone you feel safe with. So opening your heart can be a conversation about something that's on your mind or something you're wanting to create or something you're scared about or maybe something you're healing through. It can be that you actually, like me, podcast about it, write about it, like share it in some way, right? Just know when you share stuff on social media, though, get ready. Get ready. That's not always the best place for you to expose things. Okay, so to me, unless you've kind of been doing this for a little bit of a period of time, it's not necessarily because you don't know everybody's reading your stuff, right? Opening your heart can be simply also too of like, you just start journaling these pieces, right? Opening your heart can be that you hire a coach or a mentor or a therapist or someone to really kind of help you work through these pieces. Opening your heart can be simply sitting in meditation, starting to listen to some of the things that are coming up, some of the thoughts in your head, not trying to squish them down and push them away and put a positive quote over it, but just really allowing yourself to feel those things so that they can move. It's a process, sister. I'd love to give you the top 5 steps to opening your heart, and then boom, it opens. Like it's like a combination lock. Right? Left to the 11, go right to number 5. Like, it doesn't work that way. This is your journey. This is your life process. And that's okay. And you know what? That's beautiful. Do you want this stuff to be done? Think of so right now I'm reading the Harry Potter books to my boys. I'm started book 5. Oh my God, they're so great. How did I not get into these before? Anyways. And I'm already thinking forward if I don't want it to end. I know there's 7 books, right? There's a lot of beautiful things in your life. This evolution of opening your heart more and deeper and better, if you will, it's a lifelong process. So for your more tip today, 2 things. Number 1, I'm just going to have you just consider beginning to open your heart, however that feels and looks like for you. And number 2, oh my gosh, join the More Club, because we're going to be going there. Right, we're going to be going there with ways to help you really own, claim, discover your worthiness, own, claim, discover your power. And to not be alone, because you're not alone, sister. And to be connected with, again, eventually 1,000 women strong. Now this group, I've talked about it. I sent out a newsletter this morning. So if you're on my newsletter list, you would get it. Make sure to check your spam, by the way. Sometimes it goes there, or your junk folder. And then this podcast episode, and I'm just kind of slowly reaching out to other women as well, too, that have been following me for a while to let them know, and I'm going to keep talking about it, but the More Club, the More Club, the More Club. So here's what you need to do to join us, literally pennies a day. This is an absolute no-brainer. Like, you need to be there, sister. I would love to see you there. This is easy peasy, okay? Go to patreon.com, patreon.com/women wanting more. Patreon.com/women wanting more. All right, sister, I will talk to you on the next episode. A life of more really is one step away from you opening your heart in any way you can, every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosburn.com/newsletter.